Welcome, everyone. We are here to show you our belief that citizen can be an expert, a designer, and an innovator. It can be the fundamental of the creation of a human-centered city. So, we have seen... Okay. So, we have seen that end all forms of poverty, fight inequalities, and tackle climate change while ensuring that no one is left behind is the mission of the Sustainable Development Goals, right? We have identified in this mission two challenges. The first one, of course, is about ensuring that no one is left behind. But we will speak a little bit more about this with Chris. I would like to focus on end all forms of poverty, inequalities, and climate change. The nature of these problems is the same. They are all weak problems. We don't know what caused them. We don't know what is the right solution for these problems. And sometimes the solution can even create new problems. For example, here in Galapagos, they have created a plant, a processing plant that aims at transforming fruit in jam. What happened is that nowadays, 2016, the plant is abandoned and is not used by anyone. Or here, we can see a very enormous swimming pool that was created in France, in Val-Forêt. This 2 hours from Paris. It was 20 million euros, and a lot of citizens are not using it. Very few of them are using it because because some of them even go to another pool in another city, even though it's very beautiful, even though it's very well conceived. It was not conceived with citizens and their constraints, so they are not using it. We have a process that is like from the 20th century, right? This industrial process in which we have a problem, a linear process, and a solution. What happens is that we do a strong diagnosis of what the problem is, and then we will implement a solution that is very, very expensive, and that it thinks that the reality will not change while implementing it. What we believe is that nowadays we need more iterative processes that enable us to explore, to see if the problem that we're tackling is a real problem and is not based only in statistics, but actually what the community is saying and what is the will of the community. And we need to understand, prototype, test, and learn, and go back and forth. Then, the second part of this statement is while ensuring that no one is left behind.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris Lunch from Insight Share. So, we're hearing a lot about inclusion and how everybody's looking to make sure that we're bringing in all the marginalised populations, the different parts of the population, the citizens. But it's not easy. A lot of people are saying it's hard, and I'm hearing that in a lot of talks. How do you do that? And here's an example in France. So I wanted to bring it back home a little bit. Here in Germany and France, we also have these problems of inclusion. The kind of people who come to participatory consultation are the same kind of people. It might be retired. It certainly is mainly white. There's no diversity. It doesn't reflect the diversity of our streets. Different disabilities, different ethnicities. They won't come to these kind of consultations. So a lot of effort's being put into that. In France, we know they're setting up these conseils de citoyens. How can they work to bring in the citizens? They're spending a lot of money on this, the different government organizations and mairies. And it's having some success. But the problem is that even though you can have these sometimes hopefully more dynamic and participatory processes than this, it can be great until the last stage where it's put into a report and it's passed up the hierarchies and it becomes sterile and dead. We need ways to not only have more iterative processes and more inclusive, but we need to keep these dynamic and visual, and that's what we're going to talk about in a sec.
So then, by putting together two methodologies that have been around for some years, design thinking, an iterative process, and participatory video and highly inclusive process, we have created a process that enables us to work with communities, to have a problem that is verified and iterated with the community, and that actually find a solution that solves and improves their quality of life, and not only a statistical-based project that is super financed and mass-produced, like in the 20th century. Let me tell you the story about Val-Forêt. Val-Forêt is a city that is 2 hours away from Paris. This city has been well known. It has because there is a lot of riots and a lot of violence in this city. So it's a very difficult city to work with at the beginning. That's what we have heard. So we put into place a group of partnerships, local government, local associations, and experts in design thinking, participatory video, and some others. But most of all, and what is the core of this methodology, is that we have the citizen in it. But to have the citizen, we need something that federates them. So we started with a challenge of improve the water consumption at Val-Ferret. And this is where the project begins, with a phase of inspiration.
So we use participatory video to do deep research, participant-led research. So when we arrived in Val-Ferret, a lot of people said, oh my God, you're going there, that's terrible. You're not going to get anyone to participate. No one's going to be interested. And also, if you start filming there, you'll probably get attacked. So this is what we heard when we got there. And it's true, to start with, we did have trouble with participants. We started with a small group, but it was good. It was diverse. There was different ages, which was important. But what we find with participatory video is it soon becomes a kind of a public event. They're working on the problems. They're looking at the situation. What is the reality today? What is the problem? They're going out, asking neighbors, asking brothers, sisters, and it becomes a public event. Everyone's noticing what's going on here. We managed to get around the problem with the drug dealers by filming early in the morning because they're still in bed at that time. That's what they worked out. So the local people found solutions to some of these challenges, and we managed to work. There was also the problem that some people don't want to be filmed. Either it's against their religion or they don't, or for other reasons. So how do you get past that? Well, you can film from the back, and also they're not speaking in French. It's not a problem. It can be subtitled, which is a really great way to be able to really allow this inclusivity. The participatory video process is all based on a kind of action reflection. They go out, they do some filming, come back and watch it, discuss it, go out again. It's very iterative. And as they're going out, they're meeting new people. People are saying, what is this? What are you doing? And they talk about the project. And by the end, you can see the kind of participant numbers we were getting. So it grows, it kind of snowballs. So what was interesting, one of the things, we got many insights from this ethnographic research phase, this first phase. Many new ideas, many problems, but also some local solutions, what people were doing. But the main thing that was very interesting, I'll pass on to Andreas to tell you about.
It was interesting to see that the main problem was not actually improving water consumption at Val-Ferret, but it was improve the environment cleanliness of Val-Ferret. We would say, yeah, water is super important, but why they would like to see that? Then a local musician summarized it very well. This is not about waste management, this is about dignity. We cannot believe we deserve anything better if the space we inhabit is like a rubbish bin. For them, it was more priority. It's a biggest priority. So we did an iterative process where people have ideas of, for example, a shared garden, a citizen garden, or doing artistic projects with recycled things. Even changing the rubbish bin because they were too small or because they were not adapted to the local community. So they think of rubbish bin connected or other kind of things. And then we moved to the implementation phase, which is basically knowing how to tell this story, which video helped a lot, right? And a lot of people came because the video was filmed and created by the citizens. And since it was a process and not just, it was not just a video making, it was a process, people were very aware why the problem was a problem. And they were able to explain it to public servants. And the public servants even were astonished by the fact that they were saying, oh, you don't study urban planning? You are very aware of everything that is happening. And everyone got very engaged, and everyone understood why the problem was a problem and why they have to be engaged on it.
So really, we were very happy by the end of the project. We'd achieved our goals. We'd brought together the different stakeholders in ways that's incredibly difficult to do. And I think that's partly a result of the fact that we come from different worlds. Andreas is more from the private sector, where design thinking has come from that world, and I'm coming more from the NGO sector, and the combination has been very rich. And has allowed us to reach out to these different groups and to engage policymakers and community, and so that they're actually all working together in the same direction. We do a lot of projects all over the world. So here we're giving an example of France, because we're here in Germany. We wanted to bring it back home a bit. We do these projects in Africa and all over the place. And the same, we often come to the same problem where we think it's the policymakers who won't adopt our programs. Sometimes I'm hearing that from other people in the talks. The challenge is the policymakers. And what we found actually is that the policymakers in this case really wanted to do it. The civil servants were really behind it. We gave a talk and we gave a presentation as a best practice example to the National Authority on urban regeneration. And at one point, someone said, we want to do this. And someone else said, well, how? And the room went silent. The problem is not the politicians, the civil servants. A lot of them really do want to do this work. What they realized at that moment, we put our finger on the pressure point and on the painful point, it's the systems that are not allowing this. They're not iterative enough. They're not dynamic enough. They're not reactive enough. People are working in silos. There's hierarchies. There's competition between different groups. With that kind of structure, you cannot really make these changes. You can do little participatory projects, but it won't make the change. It won't go deep enough. For the SDGs to really get there, we've got to change the systems. It's a systemic change. And this is not just a big dream. It's not just something, oh, let's change the system. This is happening because these people have asked us to train them. So we're training up to 500 civil servants in how to use design thinking, participatory video, to go and listen to their citizens, to change the dynamic. Instead of being the expert, going and looking and analyzing and giving the solution, they're becoming facilitators. This isn't a pipe dream, guys. This is happening. And it's very exciting. And it's not just happening here in France. It's happening in South America and in Colombia. Andreas, do you want to tell the last?
Where we train public servants in how to relate to the citizens in a new way. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you very much, everyone.